Wanna know what happens when you pick a Jinx into a Malzahar, Draven, Xerath, Jarvan, and Pantheon? Pain! Lots of pain, and a new appreciation for the color gray. Mistakes were made. And that's the thing in this video that I'm going to go over, and somewhat of a response to GBay99's video is about not just the mistakes you make, but also the mistakes you're not realizing you're making. And in my experience also, as a somewhat form of feedback and to piggyback off of his video, also the mistakes you're making that you should not be making anymore if you really want to climb, at least in my experience. This is a Jinx versus Draven bot lane. For those that don't play a lot of bot lane or don't play this matchup a lot in particular, there are two ways you win this matchup with Jinx. You either freeze the wave close to your tower, passively farm up that way, and then be more relevant in the later game, or you have a hard engage support like Nautilus and just make Draven's day miserable, kind of like bot lane already is. After all, it stands for best of times lane. Now, we actually decided to do both. I have a Nautilus, and we're good at freezing the wave near our tower and just trying to stay ahead and farm. We're going for the Flame Horizon. And when they overextend, we punish them. We chain CC them, we actually get the kill on the Malzahar right here, and we turn it onto the Draven, who can't 1v2 for some reason. It must mean Draven actually needs buffs. That's not right. But we get the kill on him too with the Super Mega Death Rocket, and we go on from there. Nautilus was good at shot calling, so we even pick up the Dragon afterwards, and we go back to the bot lane, and it's a lot of rinse, washing, and just kind of repeating this process. We want to stay ahead and farm, freeze it close to our tower, or at least on our half of the lane, and then punish them when they overextend. This Nautilus was also super patient. It wasn't always trying to like go aggro, so it made it my job a bit easier too, because I didn't have to use heal on him. And on top of that, this Nautilus also knew when to get good engages, when we could collapse on somebody. So right here, for example, he goes in, he gets the Draven, I disrespect the Malzahar, and like a Prince song, he rains purple on my head, and it's actually my mistake. I don't respect Malzahar as a champion at all right here, because I'm busy trying to get the damage on the Draven. I have the Super Mega Death Rocket snipe, so it wasn't necessarily the kill was going to get away, and I probably should have did a better job playing around that. But it's kind of the same thing over and over. We just keep killing this Draven with chain CC, and I keep not respecting the Malzahar, and that's something I should have actually done a lot more in this game. Now sure, the Super Mega Death Rocket's hitbox is questionable, but it is AoE after all, and I am able to get the double kill, flash away, and get away from Jarvan, unfortunately leaving Nautilus to die. So the lane is technically going good, but even those things are little mistakes that if I actually want to climb, I need to improve on. However, bot lane's usually, it's just going good. This Nautilus is great. We even draw in the classic 4-man bot lane dive. I try and give the kill to Malzahar since I'm gonna die anyway. It's not intending, but I mean, I'm gonna die anyway. I give it to him because I'm thinking if the kill's on the support, it doesn't matter. Oh, we're in an era of high damage, you know, mage supports that it's not actually as not, you know, punishing as it used to be. But even this right here, I walk up to mid lane because I want to make sure I get my damage down, but I take a lot of free damage that I just don't need to take. So even though I follow it up by trying to like make it up to my team, by getting the double kill here and getting out alive, it's a lot of just simple stuff that if you really also want to climb to the point GBay was making, there's mistakes that you don't even know you're making, but that also means that you shouldn't be making any of these mistakes at all too. This should be pretty clean by this point, and it's just not. And granted, some people can make the argument, well, you're playing a Jinx, or even any AD carry really, into such a comp that's really designed to kill you every time you show up. Even here, we almost killed Draven. Jarvan has his flash up and I don't, so he gets to dunk me and kills me, and it's really hard to kind of stay alive in this situation. If only there was an item that maybe I could cleanse the Malzahar ultimate and then maybe be able to dodge everything else because I'm not locked down forever. We'll get to that in a second. In this particular case, we're back to the bot lane. Again, chain CC, we made Draven's life miserable. He didn't AFK for whatever reason, but again, I get caught by the Malzahar, I get dunked by Jarvan, and I'm dead. So it is get to the point where I have to start building that QSS. And I kind of, in my opinion, I make the mistake of building the Last Whisper because Jarvan was kind of tanky. And I thought Pantheon was getting kind of tanky despite he wasn't building tanky. He just seemed beefy. And what I should have did is kind of just sold the Last Whisper item for the QSS, because if I just can't be CC'd by that ability, I can get out of everything else if I have my flash up. See, again, I get dunked, I get killed. It's a repeating pattern that for some reason I didn't identify early enough in this game. I do actually build a QSS after this point. I like sit on the Last Whisper item and I start building the QSS. It's what the magic resist item is gonna eventually build into, that's in my inventory right there. I am getting to that point, but I'm not there yet, and if I would have just sold that item, it would have helped. And granted, yeah, I would not have had as much damage against Jarvan, but at this point, I'm not getting able to kite him anyway. I'm just dying so fast that I need that QSS sooner. So that's one of the mistakes I'm making that I shouldn't be making if I really want to climb. Now granted, mind you, I'm trash at this game, and this clip right here is a great example. This isn't nothing that Active could have saved me from. This is just me being terrible at positioning. I just walk right into the Pantheon ultimate, and I kind of get just murdered down to death because I'm trying to help kill Jarvan, and I just get sniped by the Xerath. Like, that's just bad. I'm not even trying to like be self-deprecating or anything. That really just was bad on my part. But fortunately, I have a really good team comp, and at this point, I think, is when the game kind of turned for us permanently, is we got a good fight at a choke point. We kill a lot of them, and we're able to push down mid lane because of this. Jarvan always wants to flag and drag through my tanks, and then flash dunk me if he can. And one of the second mistakes that I think I make in this game is I don't really trust my tanks for some reason. They've done a good job keeping me alive, but I'm so concerned that the fact that every champion in the enemy team can possibly kill me or lock me down long enough to kill me that I'm kind of staying a bit further back from them than I should be. But we are actually able to transition a lot of that kill off of that team fight that I talked about into a Baron. One of the things just as an AD carry that I want to mention is one of the reasons the role stayed relevant for so long is even if it doesn't seem like it's doing a lot of damage, it's always one of the best classes for taking objectives. You have consistent DPS, your DPS isn't reliant on cooldowns either, so you always will be able to do things like help take Baron as long as your jungler has Smite and things like that. So one of the things I just want to note, if your team calls Baron, probably just go for Baron. This is an example right here of what I'm talking about though. I should be like an extra hip or head for my tanks right here. We should be like a Cerberus right here. But I'm so far back because I'm afraid of the enemies engage that Pantheon kind of actually jumps down right on top of me. Even with my tanks right there, I'm not able to stay alive. I'm able to kite a bit with the minigun. We do get him low, but I end up dying. And that's kind of was my fear. But that also could have been helped if I was just with my tanks even more. Now granted, my team is so far ahead at this point that they're able to start getting kills even at the cost of me dying. So it is kind of working out at the point where we're at a point in the game where my deaths aren't costing us a lot. But there are points where I could have just positioned better. Here's a good example. I'm in the middle of my tanks. I have the QSS item finally, so I have the active. I have heal, I have flash. We even get away from the Jarvan. He's coming. I shoot him out of the sky actually when he tries to dunk. And I cleanse, I don't know what I cleanse. I cleanse the Malzahar ult early because like I said, I'm terrible. And I die. And that's on me. I can't sit here and say like, I'm hard stuck in bronze, but I'm actually a challenger player, guys, if I'm actually doing mistakes like that. Like, that's not how it works. Eventually, if that was really the case, you would eventually climb. You gotta look at sometimes, hey, that really kind of just was my fault. There was a lot of this game that my deaths were my positioning's fault, as equally if you want to say to the enemy comp being just a really good kill Jinx comp. But this is the second part in the game that I think we did something really good. What we did was a Baron bait. Now let's call it a Baron bait. We actually get a couple picks off of this. We get a pick on the Malzahar. He doesn't use his ult on me, so I still have my QSS. So then we can go and kill the Jarvan because he uses his ult on Lux instead of me. And then we can turn it back onto the Draven, onto the Xerath, onto the Pantheon. Xerath ends up getting away. We get a double kill. I make the mistake of thinking, oh, hey, a couple champions are dead. Let's just push up mid, get the tower, get the inhib, things like that. What I should have known was, hey, their Smite is dead. Their teleport is dead. It's an open free Baron. Let's go do it. We have tanks. I'm also a Mountain Drake Jinx. This is what I should actually be doing. And one of the main themes I kind of want to talk about also is just game knowledge. Ultimately, if you want to climb and you think you have mechanics, and even you have a decent team comp, decent team fighting, there's going to come down to game knowledge. Knowing what you need to do and then when you need to do it. And that's something I struggle with, I will admit. I don't always know exactly. I have an idea of what we're supposed to be doing, but I don't always know exactly how to do it. This Nautilus fortunately did. So he was just shot calling. You can't really see it in the chat, but he was just shot calling all the time, typing out exactly what we should be doing, so we were going to do it. And we honestly won the game because our team just kind of came together. At no point in the game were we really kind of afraid of losing, so we never really flamed each other either. That probably is part of what helped. It had a positive environment. But on top of that, when Nautilus made a call, we listened, we grouped, we did stuff, and that also helps too. So I guess my final point would be, now going into this game, we're coming towards the closure. We have Baron, we need to push in, we need to minimize our mistakes that we've been making. We realize, hey, my positioning's garbage. I've had better games of positioning. I'm doing fine, but I'm not doing fantastic. I even get a Super Mega Death Rocket Snipe for classic's sake, but I should, okay, fine. Let me just try and cover my bases. What can I do to cover my behind and the mistakes I'm making? Okay, I have the QSS. Let's start building a Guardian's Angel. No triple crit for me this game, even though the extra range from Rapid Fire Cannon could help. Jarvan and Pantheon aren't just completely blowing me up in like one move. I am staying alive long enough to possibly kite, possibly heal, possibly flash, and life steal potentially off the Mercurio's Scimitar, so I'm trying to finish a GA, that's why you see the armor item, in my inventory. But here's what I'm talking about trusting my tanks. Nautilus is good at zoning off Jarvan at this point. Jarvan's gonna have to try and go around Nautilus if he wants to kill me, so I actually should be safely up here CSing and also taking down the inhib. So now when we get to the point where we're fighting, Nautilus has my back. Just trust Nautilus. He has the exhaust, he has the CC, I have the QSS so I can cleanse that, which by the way was Nautilus reminding me that it's an item in the game. That's even something I should have known to build ahead of time, and Nautilus had my back. So I actually just want to take a second to praise good shot calling in whatever elo. Like, you guys are like the true, especially the support players that are getting a lot of flack right now because of autofills and stuff. You guys are the real MVPs. But in this final team fight, again, just trust my tanks. They're going to do their job. So then it can enable me to do my job, which is then to carry. This isn't about bragging about, oh, I'm a fantastic Jinx player or anything like that. It was more, hey, I'm making a certain amount of mistakes, but also if I can minimize those, my team can help me do my job better. So for some closing thoughts, now, I made this video spontaneously as a form of feedback to GBay's video when he asked for feedback. Instead of doing a usual comment, decided to be different. And I think this video was good. The idea is, you know, to critically look at what you're doing, to look at the game and look at things, even if you win, what you could do better, how you could clean up mistakes that you're not even realizing you're making to improve your play and climb to higher points in the game than you've ever actually gone before. I think that was great. On top of that, I want to highlight the replay system because certain times, certain deaths and things happen and you remember it a certain way, so you don't even try maybe to improve or think about it too much because in your mind, it was just stupid. In the replay system, maybe it's not as stupid and actually was more your fault than you like to admit. But if you can admit that and get past that point, you'll not make that mistake in future games, so it'll actually ultimately help you out. Now, yes, sometimes you can clean up your mistakes, you can have one of the best games ever, and you'll still lose. Or you have a support player who got autofill to support. Or that maxes a certain ability that wave clears very well, so you really don't get any CS and you get far behind in the game, but whatever. Ultimately, if you clean up these mistakes, you'll end up pretty high, you'll climb pretty far, hopefully, just like I hopefully will. So let's see what I end up getting. Well, heck.